This is the Voice of the Land podcast with your hosts, Kevin Arnold and Nick Paulus.
That takes us to the last team in Cleveland sports, and it's sunny outside. You're starting to get that baseball feel. They were supposed to play spring training baseball yesterday in Arizona with the Cleveland Indians. Didn't get a chance. I think it was raining over there in Arizona, but the baseball is coming. Baseball is on its way.
Thank God.
Thank goodness, because I could really use some baseball right now. But, of course, there's drama with the baseball team, too. Will they, won't they, extend Frankie Lindor? Frankie is saying all the right things. He wants to win here in Cleveland. Hey, Paul Dolan, your best player, top 5 player in baseball, wants to win in the city of Cleveland, would love to be able to find a way between him, his agent, and this team to be extended. What are we doing? What is the direction you really want to go? Do you want one of those types of players? I've seen people say that if you sign him, then you won't be able to compete because you've got all that money tied up. We've talked about it before. There is a way to do that, and I trust this front office, who is very creative in maintaining a competition level and staying near the top of the American League in baseball to get going. They just are hogtied by an owner that won't do and won't give them the resources that I know he has. Mm-hmm. It's a terrible market to be in.
Of course.
To be able to do that consistently, like the Yankees, like the Dodgers, in those big markets like that. Right. But there's still a way to do that, and the owner has the resources in which to do it in a mid-market. Will they sign Frankie Lindor?
No.
Or are they going to trade him like we talked about last year?
They will trade him. They will trade him, and it will be this season. I firmly believe that it will be
off-season or trade deadline.
Trade deadline. I 100% believe that. I don't want it to happen. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
We've got into this heated debate before.
But we're getting closer to the end.
But we are getting closer to it. And I really do believe that they're not. I don't see them being able to do this. You're looking at a minimum $35 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
10-year, $35 million per year. $350 million, which is more than what Machado got, which is more than what Bryce Harper got. It's not as much as Mike Trout got,
mm-hmm.
but I think that's what we're looking at. $350 million. He's already turned down I believe it was a $100 and $200 million contract from Cleveland. You at that point in time, you're looking at $20 million a year, which is what the going rate was for the
mm-hmm.
Dolans to pay. It's not going to happen. It's unfortunate, Cleveland fans. I'm sorry to break the news to you. I obviously want to see him here for the long haul, but we got to be real. We have to be real. This isn't LA. This isn't even Boston. Boston just sent their best player to LA because they didn't want to pay him $35 million
mm-hmm.
a year. This isn't New York. It's not the big market. So we have to make do with what we have. We have a great scouting system here in Cleveland that finds all these diamonds in the rough, especially pitching. Mm-hmm. Like, we have the best pitching recruiters, out there that know exactly what they're looking for. People like Shane Bieber, who thought Shane Bieber was going to do really much of anything, what he's done, and he's been fantastic.
On the verge of becoming the ace.
Absolutely. Him, Clev, great pitching.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate that we're not going to be able to hold on to these high talented people like a Frankie, maybe even a Shane, down the road.
Mm-hmm.
But it is unfortunate. I do believe that this is going to be the last year with him. And once again, it's just unfortunate because you want to see him here for his entire career, like someone like a Derek Jeter was able to accomplish with the Yankees. He keeps saying
different market, but still.
Right. He keeps saying he wants to win a championship here with Cleveland. He wants to end the drought, which is, I believe, at 72 years now.
Since 1948.
Yeah, it has been a tough road for this Cleveland team, especially Game 7,
mm-hmm.
being 3-1 up in that series. Obviously, it was terrible. I don't want to bring that up, people, but it is something that I just wish that we would have I wish Dolan would just throw it out there and just be like, we're not going to get it done.
Right, because if you look at the Frankie Lindor situation, he is one of the top 5 players in all of the game. You go back to a guy like Jim Thome.
5 to 10, yeah, for sure.
If you go back to a guy like Jim Thome, who people got mad at for taking the money and going when he was a guy brought up in the Indians organization and was one of those big-time players for you. This is on another level with the marketability. And baseball has issues in how they market their players as it is, but Frankie is one of those players you can market your league after and connect with the younger baseball fan and get more people back interested in America's pastime. He's not one of those top players that is just saying the right thing, just saying enough like, I'm here on this team, we're going to compete all year long, we're trying to win the American League, we're trying to go to the World Series. No, he's saying consistently, every single interview he does, I want to win a championship in Cleveland. I want to be here. My people are talking with the Indians, and we're trying to have these conversations of how I can be here. He is being more open to it. We talked about the Browns. We're in a show-me state and can't listen to everything they say. Maybe some of it is being overdone on how he's saying it to say the right thing, and you have to see it actually matriculate if he were to be signed or, be maybe distraught at first when he has to go elsewhere, and it's just that situation forces itself. But he's telling you what he wants and what he's willing to do to be in a mid-market. He doesn't have to go to a big market. He wants to be here. Find a way to do it. In the back of my mind, I'm the same way. I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's going to be traded, and we're getting closer to being more on the same page if that has to happen. But he's telling you, keep him here. Do whatever you can. If you don't, Paul Dolan, there's some people that love Paul Dolan and think that, people are way too negative about him.
Yeah.
You sign Frankie, I will give you all the credit in the world. I will come on here the first minute of a podcast and say how wrong I was about Paul Dolan.
Applause,
that he has the ability in him to make the right decision when it's necessary to keep the team competitive. And if he doesn't, I will continue to bash Paul Dolan and every single owner in this town because of how they've run each organization into the ground.
Right before we go, because we got to wrap up here,
Yep.
I do want to just say this. Be careful what you wish for, Cleveland. And whenever I say that, look at just north of us in Detroit. How bad does that Miguel Cabrera contract look right now?
Right.
How bad does that Albert Pujols contract look right now? You pay these guys 10 years in advance, and you give them $300+ million.
Totally understand.
And for a position that Frankie's a great, phenomenal shortstop. He keeps in shape. The only time that we've ever had any sort of issues with him was last year at the beginning of the year. He only missed like 20 games. It's not that big of a deal. Okay, but be careful what you wish for, because if you do set that up, look at Detroit. Detroit signed all of that. They don't have a championship. They went to the World Series with Miggy, but now Miggy he's not even a shell of himself. He shouldn't be out on the field, and they still owe him $120 million. You don't want that to happen to someone like Frankie at that point in time in their career.
And hurt your organization. Totally understand that. But I'll just remind you before we go.
Kills your organization.
And remind everybody else that I have enough faith in this organization, in the front office, to find a way to get on the same page with Frankie and his agent to extend him a few more years to have him compensated, but also allow still for some flexibility and be creative as they have been. Because Detroit was not smart with it. I trust this organization. I'm not paid to make those decisions and know what that answer is.
Yeah.
But I trust in Chris Antonetti, Mike Chernoff, this front office, the way they've been able to go through the player development process, but also make these moves to do just enough to stay competitive in this window with the best manager in baseball, one of the best players in baseball. I trust that they can find that creative way to extend Frankie and not hurt the organization moving forward as well and still have some flexibility.